This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Well, here we go. Monday Night Raw is in the books from last night, and we've got a lot to talk about because I think WWE rebounded beautifully from the decision for Gunther to tap out John Cena. And I just think it was done as well as it could have been. They leaned into it, doubled down on it, didn't run from it. There's more follow-up hopefully to come. This is not just the first and only thing they're going to do. Hopefully, when you do something as extraordinary as tap out John Cena, well, then you have to do something with it. But I was corrected by those of you in the audience, and I appreciate that. For some reason, I had figured that was the only time John Cena tapped. I repeated it several times throughout last show, and if you were privy to that, then you were probably sitting there going, dude, no, he's tapped before. Well, I was unaware of that. Now, here's when John Cena tapped. It has been over 20 years, to my defense, okay? There are, in fact, a total of 5 times, including last Saturday night's loss to Gunther. So before that, there were 4 other times John Cena tapped. 2002, July 2002 versus Chris Jericho on an episode of SmackDown. October 2003 versus Kurt Angle at No Mercy. December 2003 versus Chris Benoit. He tapped to the crossface. And then prior to Saturday, John Cena tapped to Kurt Angle at No Way Out 2004 in an ankle lock submission. Now, again, 21 years ago was the last time. So forgive me. I should amend my statement and say it has been 21 years since John Cena has tapped out in his career. Quite significant. And I would argue that since he's been an actual big babyface star, he has never tapped out. I don't know if in 2004 he had really converted to his babyface. I think he was a babyface at that point in 2004, simply because I know in March of 2004 when he was facing the Big Show for the United States title and won it, he was a babyface at that point. So for all intents and purposes, though, in the last 21 years, for the love of God, John Cena has not tapped out in really the bulk of his career. So I appreciate, guys, you keeping me honest. I like that. And I like when you guys do that. It doesn't bother me because it makes me sure that I do my homework. But in my defense, for the love of God, 21 years. Okay. Now, if you guys want to follow me on other shows, I do another podcast. I just dropped an episode yesterday, totally not related to wrestling. If you want to hear it, it's called The War on Truth. Not about wrestling. Keep that in mind. You can go check it out for yourself. I'll leave it at that. But we're here to talk wrestling, and we're also here to give you the heads up that we are going ad-free. Ad-free on Patreon. Patreon.com/WWE Podcast is the place you go if you want to check out our ad-free stuff. And yes, other places as well. Apple offers ad-free and Spotify and everything else. So let's jump into Monday Night Raw. And I do have an email or two that I just overlooked on the episode of the mailbag on Friday. So I will get to those on the back end of the show. But let's start with Monday Night Raw. Gunther comes out as expected. How can you not have him come out right at the top? And he stood in front of the broadcast table. Boos are raining down. And he's talking about how he beat John Cena and he beat him and excuse the language, and you might want to turn the volume down here because some of you do listen with kids, so I do respect that. You've been warned. So he said that Cena tapped out like a little bitch. And he then exited the ring and the fans were just livid. He laughed at the fans. Cena chants broke out, which is hilarious because he's obviously not coming out. And then Gunther left ringside and he said that it's my time now. I'll forever be the man who made John Cena give up. And he left. And a cameraman followed Gunther as he headed backstage. He crossed paths with Otis and Akira Tozawa. And Otis said he bet Gunther felt pretty good. And Gunther laughed and said he did. R-Truth said Gunther was a piece of trash. And then Adam Pearce approached Gunther and asked if he was proud. Gunther said he was. And Pearce said he made Cena tap out and walked all over his legacy because he knew he wasn't coming back. Gunther asked if Pearce was finished, and Pearce told him to find the exit and called him an a-hole, which was pretty funny. He left and entered the parking lot. That's where AJ Styles was waiting by his car, and Gunther asked Styles if there was anything he wanted to tell him. Styles motioned to the car. Gunther got in, and the car started to leave, but he stopped. Gunther rolled down the window, and he laughed while doing the "you can't see me" hand gesture and drove away. This is just great. Now, if there's a criticism here, it's the fact that if you're backstage and the idea for every matchup that you're in is that you're trying to win the matchup, and why would you not want to win, especially against John Cena in his last match, then you're in the wrong profession. It's almost like they were guilting him that he beat John Cena and made him tap. Well, that's John Cena's fault, isn't it? Again, if we're supposed to assume it's a legit competition, it's John Cena's fault that he gave up, not Gunther. Gunther's doing what you're supposed to do in every match, win. I guess the idea is that he just called John Cena a little bitch. If that's the problem, well, then that's on you if you have a problem. I mean, why would you not want to capitalize on a massive victory? So that's my only little fly in the ointment, if you will. But other than that, I love this. This was great. Gunther trolling, laughing. It's exactly what you do. You don't back away, shy away. If you do something this big, you have to own it, or it was for nothing. Now, there is much more work to be done. Much more. This is just the beginning. Gunther now needs to go on a tear. Continue to troll John Cena if he wants. That'll have to fade away eventually, though, because obviously John's not coming back. So you're going to have Gunther remind fans every now and then that he beat John Cena, made him tap out, and you just continue to use that when he needs to generate heat. But more importantly, even than that, is to go on a tear. Beat opponents legitimately. Don't cheat to win. You didn't cheat to beat John Cena in his final match. Don't cheat to win. Heels do not by default need to cheat to win. You can have a bad guy that's just better than you. That happens all the time in real life. Just because you are a better person morally doesn't mean you are a superior fighter. I know that in pro wrestling that is not the case generally, but it should be the case here with Gunther. The way that he beat John was totally straight up. No low blows, no behind the referee's back, no ref bump. No raking of the eyes, no foreign objects, straight up beat the man. So that's how I think you should beat Gunther. And maybe you do a Gunther-Brock Lesnar match, but I do wonder who would be the babyface in that match. I would presume Brock, but that's if people who are booing Brock because of the real life allegations that he was involved with are willing to forget that and forego that for seeing Gunther get his ass kicked, because eventually we have to get Gunther Brock Lesnar. It's got to happen. So perhaps they're preparing for that. It's going to be a very interesting Royal Rumble season. If Gunther is presumably in the Royal Rumble match, how can Brock and Gunther not come face to face? And if we're going to do that match and Brock's retiring next year, well, then we got to get to it. So, all right, let's continue here. We have then a brief video air of Jimmy and Jay, and they're shown walking before coming out. And Jimmy and Jay took on the New Day for the 18th time. I don't care. They're great together. So we have the finish. Actually, it was a pretty long match. It was longer than I thought. I didn't know it was 17 minutes. I figured it was 12 or 13, but 17 minutes and 25 seconds with Jimmy and Jay beating the New Day. Now, the finish was the Usos isolating, Kingston tagging in, jumping into a super kick. Jimmy knocks Woods off the apron, and then Jay speared him on the floor. Jimmy speared Kingston inside the ring and tagged out, and then the Usos hit 1D on Kingston, and Jay pinned him. So I thought this was good. These two teams work. They're peanut butter and jelly, to use the oldest euphemism in the book or analogy in the book. They are just as well-oiled of a team to face one another as can possibly be. And I don't know if this is the right move. I guess it is, considering that the New Day have no momentum at all, and the New Day are newly reformed, and newly reunited. You want them to have some momentum. So fine. I have no issue with this. And it seems like they'll continue to probably fight forever, as they say. So the broadcast team continued to hype CM Punk and Bron Breakker for the World Heavyweight title. That's going to take place on January 5th in Brooklyn, not too far off, a few weeks. Unbelievably, it'll be the new year. And then we had EO and Ripley backstage and a video package that recapped the issues between Rey Mysterio, Logan Paul, and the attack by Paul and Bronson Reed on LA Knight. We can't forget about LA Knight, who was taken off TV and I think is poised for a big Royal Rumble return, if not at the Rumble shortly before. And I think he'll have a huge impact. It's Royal Rumble. I feel like I said this last year and the year before, but this Rumble feels very special. It feels like there are so many people that could then and are believable, despite the fact they haven't been officially announced for the Royal Rumble match itself. You have Roman Reigns, you have potentially Bron Breakker, you have Brock Lesnar, you have Logan Paul, you have potentially Drew McIntyre in this matchup, LA Knight in this matchup. This is fascinating because you can make a case for LA Knight, Roman Reigns, Bronson Reed. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody big, but there's a lot of top contenders, more than usual. No, more than usual from the usual. Well, it's probably going to be Cody. It's Cody. And last year, obviously, Jey Uso, which never felt right, and that turned out to be true, given WWE just after a few months took the belt off him and said, yeah, this ain't working. So this year feels fun. I know we don't have official entrants, but you can kind of deduce who's going to be in it based on where the title matches are headed for the Rumble. And yes, we typically don't have those who compete in a title match in the Rumble, but that doesn't exclude you from the Rumble. We've seen that before. Just because you're in a title match doesn't mean you can't enter the Royal Rumble. It doesn't exclude you from it. So we'll have to see about that as well. Okay. Inside the Vision's dressing room, we had Logan Paul and Bronson Reed speaking about Reed hitting a tsunami on LA Knight on top of the car. And Bron Breakker and Knight said Knight was gone, but CM Punk was in the building and they should destroy him. Logan said he thought the masked mystery man would show up, and Paul Heyman spoke with Logan, asked about the mystery man, and Heyman spoke about Knight's friends coming for the Vision, and Heyman said he doesn't know who it is, but he'll take his help. And Breakkers pulled Heyman aside and spoke about taking out Punk, and Heyman said Breakker couldn't beat Punk in 3 weeks if he took him out before then. Okay, so fine. Yeah, I don't mind seeing, this is certainly more interesting than seeing a camera inside of the Judgment Day's quote-unquote dressing room. I mean, there's a lot more interest here, that's for sure. So we then have we have Maxine Dupree versus Ivy Nile for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. This match went 10 minutes exactly, with Maxine Dupree beating Ivy Nile to retain the Women's Intercontinental title. This is how it happened here. We have, if you didn't watch or forgot, we have Dupree applying an ankle lock. Nile kicked out of it. Then Dupree reapplied it, and Nile kicked her off, but Dupree put her down with a kick and applied the hold once again. And then she grapevined Nile's leg and forced her to tap out. So this, I think, was a nice touch for Dupree, looking a little bit more vicious and aggressive. And I like her hair, by the way. Kind of that frazzled look adds just a different feel to her. The crowd didn't overly love her. They didn't boo her, but it wasn't a massive reaction for Dupree. It was a warm reaction. That's the best way I can put it. A warm reaction, but not overly excited. So I feel like Dupree's momentum it's flatlining a bit. I don't think it's in a danger zone, but she needs to keep things moving. WWE needs to then shake this off quickly and move, because she was kind of a little fan favorite, the little engine that could, and they got behind her and she won. But now they need to continue that momentum. Easier said than done, but they need to continue it, because if they don't, this could easily just kind of fall off a cliff and be like, oh yeah, remember when we liked Maxine for a little while and we thought she was going to be this big thing? Remember that? And I don't think you or I want that. And for the women's division itself either, I think it's important that you don't have these flashes in the pan and you legitimately give something a try here, and have Maxine do something a little bit more, a little bit more aggressive like they did last night, but continue this evolution of Maxine week by week, whatever that may mean, whether it's vignettes, whether it's more promos can always help. They can never hurt. But in ring, she's certainly improved, and we can all see it. So then we have, let's continue, backstage segments with Adam Pearce congratulating Javon Evans, and Pearce booking an Evans versus Rayo match for next week's Raw. And we have CM Punk come out, and oh boy, this was brutal. This is vintage Punk here, who had quite the response to Bron Breakker, who was on fire the last couple of weeks, doing what he does and making a name for himself. But right off the bat, CM Punk called Breakker a, quote, cross-eyed Neanderthal Nepo baby, and he recalled Breakker complaining about Punk nearly breaking his neck during the War Games match. But he said that he understands brains don't run in Breakker's family, but he signed up for War Games, not Boar Games. That was a good line. And man, I mean, it gets worse from here in a good way. Punk recalled Breakker saying he wanted the old version of him, but he can't even handle the 2025 version of him without help. And he congratulated him for pinning him. And he said Breakker could ask Heyman how many times he's gassed up a young wrestler, gave them too much too soon, and watched them wilt under the bright lights. And said if he had a dime for every time he stood across the ring from a talented individual who people who are not as smart as him have gassed up to be the next future WrestleMania main eventer, he'd have a pocket full of dimes. And said that if Breakker mentions his wife's name again, he'd go from business to personal faster than Breakker can run. And it wouldn't be about the belt anymore, because he'd rip his eyes out of his head and piss on his single-digit IQ brain. I mean, again, just classic. Punk is, as much as I completely just, I'm on the opposite ends of pretty much everything he stands for outside of wrestling and thinks he supports outside of wrestling. I mean, we couldn't be more opposed. He has it in the ring, and I can separate these things. See how easy that is? Unlike Mick Foley. Yeah, there's something we'll talk about later. Hopefully I remember. But see, I can separate these things and realize, okay, yeah, fine. We don't agree with anything like on an actual real human level. But in the ring, if we're here for just pro wrestling, I can absolutely respect what Punk is and represents for the company, and his talent on the microphone is second to none. He's just incredible. I certainly wouldn't want to go across the ring from him inside of in a verbal debate. There's no doubt about that. When it comes to actual pro wrestling promos, other topics, I would actually find it fun. But anyway, Punk said he would challenge Breakker to face him one-on-one, but he knows he won't because he doesn't have the balls or the heart. And he told him to bring Heyman, the Vision, the Mystery Man, the National Guard, his dumb father, his even dumber brother Scott to Brooklyn, and Punk said Breakker would need all hands on deck to beat him. I mean, this is just hammering his family for being just so stupid, like basically meatheads. I mean, is he wrong? I'll leave that for you to decide. He said that when he wins, Breakker wakes up and sees that Heyman has left him for the next big thing, and Bronson Reed would be doing TikToks with a YouTube scammer. Yikes. The only people that Breakker would have left will be Dumb and Dumber, his father, and his uncle. Punk said that in real time, all three of them would find out that even with Steiner math, GTS equals 1, 2, 3. I mean, damn. I mean, this is just great. It's amazing. Now, despite the spear that happened at the end, even if they didn't spear, this is how you create a connection with the fans. This is a textbook example of how you create a connection with the fans. The fans respect you for this because it's not easy to do. It's a rare talent to be this good. And it talks people into the building and wanting to see it. Fighting is fun. Fighting, yeah. You there is an element of the attacks and brawls that adds intensity, but there's something about a war of words that is even more intense than an actual physical brawl that is, we've seen the constant pull apart brawls and this and that and attacks and matches, and those are effective. I'm not saying those aren't, but there's something about this kind of verbal debating and promos that when you have somebody this good, that you'd almost prefer this over a brawl. It adds so much intrigue and it builds the tension. See, the fighting is kind of blowing off the steam because that's what you want to see. But the actual promos themselves are what build up the anticipation. And that is a very important skill that I think is really something that needs to be refocused and something that needs to be more emphasized in today's product than just the flip flop fly gymnastics that everyone has kind of gravitated to of what is a great match today. These gymnastic moves and the 48 kickouts of finishers and all the rest, which is, my feelings on that are just like, hey, this does not create drama in the way that you think it does, especially when it's used by everyone all the time in every match. How much further are we going to go with the kickouts of finishes? It's ridiculous. So, I just watched, for example, just kind of good, weird timing, but good timing. Right before I hit record here, I was watching Armageddon 2000. And here we go from 25 years ago. Here goes Matt again, right? But I was watching Armageddon 2000, the 6-man Hell in a Cell match for the WWF title with Kurt Angle, Undertaker, Triple H, The Rock, Rikishi, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And how did the match end with all 6 of those men, legends? Rikishi, I guess, he's a Hall of Famer. I wouldn't say Rikishi's a legend. But all of those men who are the biggest stars in the world in pro wrestling, how did the match end? With a stunner to The Rock, one, where Austin couldn't capitalize and Kurt Angle took the pin. He got the victory over The Rock. That's how it ended. Spoiler alert, 25 years later. That's how it ended. Was one stunner to The Rock at the end. They're all bloodied and battered, but they didn't have an overuse of finishes. They didn't have flip, flop, fly, suicide dives. It's amazing. I know that things evolve, but evolution in and of itself is not necessarily a positive. When you hear evolution and progressiveness and progress, like in and of itself, well, what's progressing? What's evolving? Did it need to evolve? I know we're all just supposed to believe, and our overlords tell us we're supposed to believe that progress is it's always good. Well, no one ever stops to ask, well, what's progressing and why, and did it need to? You could apply that logic to anything in life, anything in culture. And it certainly applies to pro wrestling, in my opinion. So, back to reality. 25 years later here on Monday Night Raw, we have Dominic Mysterio speaking with Liv Morgan. And Dom said he hoped the Vision would put an end to his deadbeat dad so he could have a great Christmas. And Morgan asked where Finn Balor was. I'm sorry, guys, I don't care. I say this every week. I don't care. I don't know more. I Liv Morgan. I love Liv Morgan. So I'll try to cover this, but I'm so bored by the Judgment Day. I'm bored to tears. Even reading this one paragraph puts me to sleep. No disrespect to Morgan. The group just needs to disband, man. But I'll read it out of respect to Liv Morgan and Dom. So Morgan turned her focus to Raquel in her match for the Women's World Championship later in the night. Rodriguez said she knew they would have her back, but she wanted to handle Stephanie Vaquer all on her own. Morgan said she and Perez would celebrate with her once they become WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, and Perez said she had to take care of Bayley next week, and then she and Lyra would be out of the picture. Great. We know there's pretty much no chance that Raquel's going to win, but hey, for nothing else, Raquel has made strides since she returned, and she hasn't just been this kind of faceless, muscular woman that doesn't ever have anything to say and doesn't really do much. and doesn't have a connection with the crowd. Like, she's starting to do that, and she's on a good path. I mean, how can you say she's not when she's getting a women's world title match on Raw? So we knew she wasn't going to win, but my point still stands. She's in a much better place, clearly, if the WWE feels confident enough to give her a one-on-one match for the women's title. So, okay. So we have the match fairly short, unfortunately. It ended in a no contest in 8 minutes because the lovely, just wonderful, good vibes Nikki Bella runs in and hits Vaquer, pushes her into the ring post, and then ran Rodriguez into the ring steps to end the match. And Nikki ran Vaquer into the barricade before rolling her inside the ring, where she hit the Rack Attack 2.0. And the women, we obviously, as I said, had a no contest. So is it leading to a triple threat? I mean, they don't really do triple threats. I mean, it's been years since WWE has implemented the triple threat, so probably not. Can you hear the sarcasm? I mean, it is a triple threat, and that's fine. Despite the fact that Nikki Bella is insufferable and not in a good heel way, just in a way that I never want to see her again, like ever. I don't want to see the pioneer, the legend Nikki Bella, the self-proclaimed legend Nikki Bella ever again on my screen, and that'd be great. But it's going to be a triple threat. There's no doubt about that. That's clearly what they're setting up for here. And you know what? Again, I can still say, despite everything that I disagree with on Nikki, pretty much about everything, and she has an actual just kind of hideous personality, she is improved in the ring, and I respect that. I do. And I think she'll be just fine in this, I guess, assumed triple threat for the women's world title. Now, in that triple threat, there is a real chance that Stephanie Vaquer could end up losing it, because on the flip side of things, Stephanie Vaquer has been kind of quiet as champion. She hasn't said much. She's in the same boat as Jade Cargill when it comes to connection with the fans. She's in a little bit better position, but not by much. She has yet to cut a great promo. I don't care about the language barrier. That's your problem. You need to find a way to overcome that. Shinsuke Nakamura did. You need to find a way. I don't want to hear it. Connect with the fans. And it's not through your matches. Clearly, you know, and we know you're good in the ring. That's great. But you're not going to connect with us on a deep level if you don't connect with us in some kind of interesting character quirk, or something catches on, or you cut a good promo and you build on that. You can't build any more on your in-ring. Again, we know you're really good, but there's more to it. And Jade could learn from this as well, as I hammer her every week, because I want to see these women improve, because they've got a great look and they are good. Well, Stephanie, I think, is superior to Jade, but they're kind of two different styles because of their body differences. But even to Jade's credit, I think she's improved in the ring, certainly since she first came to WWE. But it's easier said than done. I get that. But you got to just try and not just cut these women off at one sentence when you know someone's going to interrupt them, because the company doesn't have enough confidence in them to cut anything beyond a sentence or two. You gotta do that, because if not, Stephanie Vaquer is going to end up dropping that belt real soon. I really don't think Stephanie Vaquer is going to get past the Royal Rumble as women's champion. I don't see her going into WrestleMania as champion. It's very possible that you have Nikki Bella going in as women's champion. Because, to be frank, Nikki Bella, out of all three of those women, Raquel and Stephanie and herself, Nikki Bella can cut the best promos. Is she the best in the ring? I mean, she's improved and can certainly hold her own. I think she'll be fine. But it's very possible in this presumed triple threat that Nikki Bella walks away as champion. Okay. So let's continue here, because as I said, we've got these emails to get to as well. And let's see here. We have Dragon Lee and AJ Styles backstage with Jackie Redmond. And she asked about the Usos beating the New Day. Styles put over the Usos and their rivalry with the New Day, but said he and Lee are the champions and said they would face them anytime. Styles said they should go talk to Adam Pearce. And Nikki Bella shows up after Styles and Lee left, and she complained about being disrespected, and that said Vaquer and Rodriguez should be shining her boots. Yeah, whatever. I mean, just literally, who cares? The broadcast team then listed the following matches for next week's show, which the show is going to be taped on Friday at the SmackDown event because it's Christmas week. So that's what they do. And that just tells me, I mean, if it's a double book, a double taping, then the crowd's not going to be particularly, loud because you're seeing a double taping. But, nonetheless, it's a long night for those in attendance. We have Bayley versus Roxanne Perez, Javon Evans versus Ryo, and Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. So, okay, we have then some backstage stuff with Bayley congratulating Maxine Dupree, who shot off a bloody finger, and Bayley told her she could go take care of it. And Bayley told Lyra Valkyria that she'd been thinking about some things that Asuka said to her after her loss to Sol Ruca on Saturday, and Valkyria asked if one loss was all it would take to make Bayley doubt herself, and Lyra shoved Bayley and said Asuka was right when she called her an idiot. And Bayley shoved her back and yelled that Valkyria was the idiot and she would beat Roxanne Perez. And so that was a way for Valkyria to kind of bring Bayley back into her own after the loss to Sol Ruca. All right. So then we have Rey Mysterio versus Logan Paul. The match went 15 minutes. 15 minutes. And I mean, really good. These two work well. Logan Paul works well with anybody. I think he truly is the future, is the future face of the company. That remains to be seen. But the match ended with Rey reaching for the brass knucks that were on the mat. But that's when the mystery man shows up and gives a stomp. While Heyman distracted the ref, Paul took advantage of the interference by hitting Rey with the frog splash for the victory. So again, before we get to the aftermatch match antics, the match itself I think was good. As I said, we have these two who work well together. I don't think these two are done fighting one another. I think you could put them together pretty much any week, but it's certainly not Rey's time. I don't think you're ever going to have Rey Mysterio cleanly beat Logan Paul. It's truly the past versus the future. Rey Mysterio is at the tail end. I understand he's somehow defying time. He's found the fountain of youth, but he's not sharing the secret with the rest of us. I don't know how he's doing it. You would think Rey Mysterio's at the end, but maybe he's just getting started. I don't know. Rey Mysterio he's a enigma. I have no idea how he looks like he hasn't missed a step, despite all of his injuries and all the miles on his body. It's incredible. But after the match, that's when Punk returned with the title belt and chair, chasing both the Masked Man and Logan Paul. The Masked Man ran into the crowd up the steps, and he revealed himself to be Austin Theory with shorter hair that people are somehow angry about, but I guess I take personal issue with that. Punk stood on the middle rope, and that's when Bron Breakker comes in the ring and speared Punk, took the title belt, and squatted next to him, and Breakker said, "Punk was right. It's just business. You ever talk about my family like that again, you'll never stand on your own 2 feet ever again." And Breakker held up the belt while Logan Paul and Heyman watched, and Theory watched from the crowd. So the big reveal here was Austin Theory, the theory, pun intended, that everyone seemed to prescribe to originally was that it was Austin Theory. So I had said over the last couple of weeks that the longer they don't tell us who this mystery man is, the bigger the expectation of the reveal. And this is certainly not a exciting revelation. Of course, we're all here or WWE is here to build new stars. So you can't always have it be a big star, because then you'll never have any stars except the ones that are out the door. You have to continue the cycle. But it was kind of underwhelming. You saw him and you're like, oh, and the biggest thing is like, oh, well, he got shorter hair. So the fact that people are talking more about his hair than Austin Theory himself is not a good start. But there's time. It's all about the follow-up. God, I've said that about that thing so many things over the last few weeks. It's about the follow-up. Why did he join? What's his motivation? And Austin Theory can cut a promo. He's good on the mic. I wouldn't say he's great, but he's good, and it gives him a totally fresh coat of paint away from his tag team partner that he previously was with. A-Town Down Under is dead, thank God. So it gives him a whole new identity. And this is a fresh start for Austin Theory. So while for us it was not exciting, there was no big star, it wasn't Chris Jericho or somebody else, I'm fine with that because I'm willing to watch the star process take its course. If it does, we'll see. So yeah, it wasn't particularly exciting. Like, oh, well, I guess it was Austin Theory. I mean, like literally everybody. I would love to have seen and talked to anybody that actually sat there and go, oh my God, it's Austin Theory. Did anyone in the world say that? No. So, all right. Overall, good Raw, memorable Raw. The CM Punk promo was really, I mean, obviously one of the standouts. The reveal of the Masked Man was underwhelming, but predictable. And time will tell if it was the right call. Most importantly, we have a women's debacle here with Nikki Bella and with Raquel and Stephanie Vaquer. That, as we said, probably is going to turn into a triple threat. And Gunther, who is just owning this and laughing, and it's beautiful to watch. So, with all that said, before we wrap it up, I do want to get to just a couple of the emails that somehow I missed, and I apologize for that, on Friday. So this is from Dennis, and he sent this to us about a week ago. So remember, guys, okay, a week ago is when this was sent, so you have to take that into consideration with whatever the content of the email is. So Dennis says, it's been a while, very busy with work, life, etc. Last week, I had the pleasure of meeting the one and only Mick Foley. Perfect timing. I love the segue here. He was doing a show in my city at a place called City Limits. He spoke about his career working in the Attitude Era. Very interesting and a very nice guy. In January, I'm going to a televised episode of SmackDown. I'm not even going to say how much I paid for the tickets, but they weren't cheap, but good seats. Would you mind if I brought a sign with your podcast name on it and try and get it on TV? My little way of promoting the show. Also, I suspect of CM Punk's dog dying, and your comment on it. I'm a dog lover and owner of Yorkshire Terrier named Sam, and he's part of the family. I'm not his dad and agree with everything you said. Only a few days left of seeing his career. It's like only yesterday he had his first match. The years have gone by. Thanks, Matt. Talk to you soon. Well, Dennis, thank you. And yeah, fine. Look, if you consider the dog a part of your family, like an actual member of your family, then who am I to say otherwise? Great. I'm certainly not advocating for people to abuse or neglect animals. That's never was my message, even though some people thought it was. I don't have a need to have a dog, and people are just like, whoa. It takes their breath away. Like, people just don't understand. It's ridiculous, but cool. That's all I'll say about that. Yeah, absolutely. If I'm not going to stop you from promoting the show, hell no. That would be obviously very cool. Not assigning that to you. If it's not on air, it's tough to get on air. And if you can't, or it doesn't happen, I don't feel bad. Obviously it would be cool, but I'm not going to sit here and be disappointed or upset if you don't. That's certainly up to you, but I'll encourage it. Absolutely. I'd be foolish not to. Now, Mick Foley, he seems like a legitimately nice guy, but he has cut ties with WWE now because of WWE's relationship with Donald Trump and their seemingly relationship with him. Is this smart on Mick's part from a career standpoint? He's not on television. I don't know what kind of Legends contracts he's had with them. Mick Foley, if he's looking for money, it's usually not the best idea to cut ties with the biggest wrestling company in the world if money is a big issue. I don't know Mick's finances, but for him, he felt that morals and his morals don't align with WWE's relationship with the President of the United States, so he decided to cut ties. And I'm not going to get into the political part of this, other than to say that I understand Mick's convictions. I certainly get it, but I don't know what kind of point this is proving, other than just how can they support the President of the United States? If they can support him, then I can't be part of it. But yet he had no problem with their long-standing now and likely going to be much longer relationship with Saudi Arabia that has, like, without a doubt, have done objectively way worse things than Trump, whatever he's accused of or you think he's accused of, have done. But Mick Foley had nothing to say and no worries about that. And have also teamed up with very questionable celebrities over the years, just really bad people. And so you have Mick Foley out here. Oh, no, really, you can't support the president of the United States. Like, come on, Mick. But hey, if you stand by your convictions, I respect that. I don't agree with it. Certainly don't, but I respect your convictions. I just don't know what you're proving. And it's also a bit hypocritical that, you know, you're leaving them now when yet they have aligned themselves with objectively worse governments for many, many years now. Like horrible atrocities committed by, well, let's not get into it. You get my point. So I wanted to get that Mick Foley story in because it's making its rounds. Thanks, Dennis. Okay. Let's talk to, I have one here, but we'll save that one for the actual mailbag on Friday because it was sent yesterday. So we'll save that for Friday. Where do I go here? Do I want to talk to, I also will save this one. I was going to talk to the WWE fan, Kat, but since she sent this also 2 days ago, I thought it was later than that and older than that. So, Kat, I hate to tease you. You know, I'm going to respond, and I promise you I will. It'll be on Friday, though. On Friday, I will respond to your email because they're always fun and well thought out. I'll just say it. I'm reading that as we speak, so I'm not trying to hook anybody or tease anybody, but I legitimately thought that your message, Kat, came through like 5 days ago, and I missed it on the mailbag. But you didn't. I didn't miss it, so I will absolutely respond, as well as Kevin. Attorney Tut, I will absolutely keep you in mind for Friday in the mailbag on Friday. So making sure we can respond then. All righty. Well, that'll do it, everybody. I thank you for listening. And if you stuck with me here, give us a 5-star rating, if nothing else, on Apple or Spotify. And you can also go ad free at Patreon, patreon.com/WWE podcast, or follow us on X at wrestling_audio, or search WWE podcast on X, where I put out a lot of stuff. Some of it has nothing to do with wrestling, but hey, it can't all be about wrestling. I mean, that's certainly not all I think about in my mind. There's a lot more in there, for better or worse. Some of it I probably shouldn't share, but I do. And you can also check us on Spotify. I promise we do have an ad-free feed there as well. So thanks, everybody. Again, if you want to hear me talk about other things other than WWE, you can head on over to the War on Truth. You guys can check that out. It is, as expected, not about wrestling. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We will talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.